So I want to start by having you tell us, obviously one of the storylines last week was Alex Eala and the massive crowds that she was bringing to Dubai, which is not a tournament that...
And everywhere else that she plays.
Yes, and
right?
everywhere else that she plays. I think it was perhaps maybe more notable there because that's not a tournament that is typically packed to the gill.
Last year, she needed a wild card just to get in the door. This year, Miami already sold out her seats before she even landed. Alex Eala, music, is returning to the court that changed everything. But this time, the tournament is not doing her any favors. She is the one doing favors for the tournament, and the WTA is still trying to process what that means. Drop a comment below. Do you think Alex Eala can go deeper than her 2025 semifinal run this year, or is the pressure defending points and being a seated player a different kind of challenge? Tell us exactly what you think. Let's just take a moment to appreciate how completely the script has flipped.
Not only are you in the semi-final of 1,000, you're now a top 100 tennis player. What's going through your mind at the moment, Alex?
It's such a huge jump, but I don't know. My mind is really blank now. I don't think I've processed what I've just done. But in the end, I'm still the same player I was 2 weeks ago, so... It's weird because so much has changed, yet nothing really changed.
12 months ago, Alex, music, Eala was ranked 140th in the world. She was not in the Miami Open draw. She was not seated. She was not even guaranteed a spot in the main draw through normal qualifying channels. She got in as a wild card, meaning the tournament basically did her a favor by letting her through the door at all. That is how the tennis world saw her entering the 2025 Miami Open. A promising youngster with potential, a wild card entry, someone to watch maybe, but not someone to build a schedule around. Then she beat Iga Świątek, then Madison Keys, then Jelena Ostapenko, then received a walkover from Paula Badosa in the round of 16. Then pushed Jessica Pegula to 3 sets in the semifinals before finally going down 7-6, 5-7, 6-3, from wild card to semifinalist. From ranked 140th to ranked 75th in the live standings by the time she walked off that court. Music. The tournament let her into the tournament needed her to be there in 2 weeks, music, at 19 years old. And now she is back, except this time Miami is not doing Alex Eala any favors. This time Alex Eala is doing Miami a favor by showing up. The 32nd seed in a field that includes Iga, defending champion Aryna Sabalenka and Coco Gauff, a first round by matches of the tournament is reportedly moving to bigger courts because the demand for her specific matchups is outrunning music, what the smaller venues can hold. Seat slots selling out before the draw is even fully processed. The WTA has been watching this happen, and the reaction can best be described as the institutional equivalent of someone, music, who confidently said a stock was going nowhere watching it hit all-time highs on a Tuesday afternoon. A little surprised, a little unsure of what to say, and definitely scrambling to get ahead of a narrative. Because here is the thing about the WTA as an organization. They benefit enormously from what Alex Eala is doing for the sport. Her matches generate viewership numbers that the tour's own established stars are not always producing. Her practice, music, sessions pull crowds at tournaments typically see only during late-round matches. Her social media engagement numbers are the kind of data that sponsors pay serious money to be associated with. A recent practice video hit over 94,000 views within 24 hours. That is not a player. That is a content engine. And yet the WTA spent most of the last year treating her rise as a pleasant surprise rather than something they actively built or supported. She was ranked 140th. She came in on a wild card. She went on a run. Good story. Moving on. That was the institutional energy around her 2025 Miami Open performance, acknowledging it without fully leaning into it, celebrating it without committing to what it meant for where the sport was heading. Now she is ranked 32nd in the world with a career high of 28, music, and climbing. She is seated at WTA 10,000 events. She enters Miami with a first-round bye and sold-out seat slots and a fan base that tracks a tournament schedule like it is a national event. The WTA can no longer treat this as a pleasant surprise. This is a new reality, and the organization is having to adjust to a player who arrived faster and hit harder than anyone in their planning meetings apparently anticipated. The numbers behind the seat demand deserve some attention here, because they tell a genuinely remarkable story. Eala is 20 years old. She has one Grand Slam singles win to her name, her first round win at the U.S. Open last summer. She has not won a WTA title yet. By the traditional markers of tennis star power, she is still in the early chapters, and yet the demand for her matches at Miami is generating the kind of commercial response that the tournament reserves for its top draws. That gap between where her results technically place her and how the music market is actually responding to her is the most interesting thing happening in women's tennis right now. It speaks to something that the rankings cannot capture. It speaks to connection, to identity, music, to the specific and powerful thing that happens when a player represents a community that has not historically, music, had someone to cheer for at this level. The Philippine tennis fan base did not exist in its current form 5 years ago. Not because the Philippines lack sports passion. It absolutely does not. But because there was no one to anchor that passion to in tennis, Eala gave them that anchor, and the response has been the kind of sustained, organized, emotionally invested fandom that most sports would spend millions of marketing dollars trying to create artificially. Hayes arrived organically because she went out and owned it point by point and match by match. So when those seat slots sell out before she has even hit a ball in Miami, that is not a coincidence. That is a community mobilizing. That is thousands of people who, music, feel personally invested in her story, making sure they are in the building when the next chapter gets written. Now, music. Let us talk about what she is actually walking into at this tournament, because the stakes are higher than they might appear from the outside. The 390 ranking points she owned from her 2025 semifinal run are now due to be defended. That is how the WTA ranking system works. Points expire after a year, and if you do not at least match your previous performance of the same tournament, your ranking drops regardless, music, of what else you have done in the meantime. For a player in EA's position, those 390 points are a significant chunk of what is keeping her in the top 30. Falling short of the semifinals this year means a ranking drop. Going further means a ranking rise potentially into the top 20 for the first time in her career. That is real pressure. The kind of pressure that changes how you approach a tournament, how you manage your energy, how you think about each match in each round. Last year, she had nothing to defend and everything to gain. Every win was a bonus. Every upset was a surprise, and the complete absence of external expectations was its own kind of freedom. She could walk onto the court against Świątek as a wild card with 0 point to protect and just play. This year, she is a 32nd seed. Oh, music. She is expected to be there in the later rounds. If she loses in the first or second music round, that is news. That is a headline. Last year, a second-round exit would have been considered a solid tournament run given her entry status. This year, the same result is an underperformance. That shift is a price of success, and it is a real one. But here is the other side of that coin. Eala herself has spoken about it in a way that suggests she understands the shift and is not afraid of it. She said before Miami that she knows she belongs, that it does not matter if she wins a tournament or loses in the first round. She is here to stay. That is not false confidence or public bravado. That is a player who has built enough experience, absorbed enough tough losses, and accumulated enough high-level match time in the last year that she genuinely believes in her own place in the sport. The experience base she has built since the 2025 Miami run is significant. She made it to the Indian Wells round of 16 as a 31st seed. She pushed Coco Gauff, the 4th-ranked player in the world, music, into a retirement before Gauff could close out the match. She has wins over multiple top 50 players. She has a Grand Slam main draw win. She has played big matches in big environments and handled them well enough that the results speak for music themselves. None of that happened to her. She built all of it match by match across a year that required her to perform consistently while her ranking, her public, music, profile, and the expectations placed on her all grew simultaneously. That is not easy. Most players who have a breakthrough moment like the 2025 Miami Open see some regression afterward as the pressure of maintaining the new standard sets music in. Eala's trajectory has continued upward. The Indian World performance also provided useful information heading into Miami. Her loss to Linda Noskova in the round of 16 was convincing 62-6-0, which means there are still levels above her current game that can overwhelm her when conditions are right. Music. Noskova is a big hitter who can control a match physically in ways that take pace away from Eala's game. Understanding where those vulnerabilities are and how to address them is part of what the next stage of her development looks like. But before that loss, she was handling the tournament's music pressure well. She won her early rounds. She made it to the round of 16 at a WTA 1000 music event as a seated player. She was competitive and composed. The loss was clear, but it was not a collapse. It was a talented player meeting a specific challenge she was not quite equipped to solve on that day, which is the most normal thing that happens in professional tennis. Miami presents a different draw, different surface conditions, and a different context for Eala. This is her house, to borrow the framing that has been used since she walked out of that 2025 semifinal. Hard Rock Stadium is where her story got its biggest moment. The crowd there knows her. The atmosphere there has been built around her in a way that does not replicate at other stops on the tour. That familiarity is a genuine advantage. The potential for a rematch with Iga is what everyone is watching the draw for. Swiatek has had a difficult few weeks. She was eliminated at Indian Wells by Alina Svitolina and has been publicly working through some form issues. A Świątek who was uncertain about her game coming into a tournament where she already lost to Eala 12 months ago is a significantly more vulnerable version of the world number one than most players ever face. The psychological edge belongs to Eala Music in that matchup, and both players know it. Aryna Sabalenka is a defending champion and one of the most powerful players on the tour. Coco Gauff is still working through the aftermath of the retirement at Indian Wells and carries her own form questions into Miami. The draw is complicated and full of players who are capable of winning the tournament. Eala is seated 32nd, which, music, means a potential path includes serious tests early if the bracket falls a certain way, but she has been in serious tests before. Music. She was ranked 140th with a wild card, and she beat 3 Grand Slam champions in 2 weeks. The level of the challenge has never been the thing that stops her. The thing that stops her is a specific opponent on a specific day when the matchup does not favor her game. Everything else, the crowd, the expectation, the pressure defending points, the sold-out seats, and the tournament moving her matches to bigger courts. None of music that appears to bother her. Miami sold out her seats before she played a single point. The WTA is adjusting to what she has become, and she showed up anyway. Focused, prepared, and ready to make the 2025 run look like the preview rather than the peak. From wild music card to sold-out seats in 12 months, Eala is not just a tennis story anymore. She is a phenomenon. If you believe she goes deeper than the 2025 semifinals this time around, hit that music like button, subscribe for more coverage, and drop your Miami prediction in the comments. The Filipina Queen is back, and Miami already knows.